So I just finished a 5K run and I used AI to train me and to give me specific workouts with AI prompts and AI input. So I'm gonna tell you about my 5K training journey and tell you how it turned out and how AI trained me and was my personal trainer for my running journey. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, I am a washed up college athlete that got injured and gained a little bit of weight and wanted to get back into running, but I didn't know how to get started again. I looked all over the internet, I consulted with several coaches, I researched all I could, trying to find a plan that would work best for me, post-injury, post-college, all these things. And I couldn't find anything that would tailor specifically to what I wanted or what I needed. Because let's keep in mind here, I work full time and I have a busy life. So trying to run 60 miles a week is not really feasible for somebody like me, especially starting out. I was looking all over the internet and somebody online had suggested that you use artificial intelligence. My immediate reaction usually to artificial intelligence was, hey, that's kind of crazy. There's a lot of weird things out there with AI. Isn't that even cheating? Is another thing I thought about. It's like, it's cheating to use AI. AI can do anything that you want it to do. It doesn't really require anything from you. And then it hit me. I don't know anything about training, really training and trying to get into a regimen. And I don't want to have to pay a coach to help me run. I need some accountability and I need to make sure that I have a schedule to stick to. So why not give AI a shot? Now, by no means is this an endorsement or a sponsorship for this particular AI. And I did use several different AI platforms, but the main one I stuck to was Grok. This is X's AI generator, chatbot, whatever you want to call it. And Grok has significantly helped me in my running journey. And I want to tell you about how it went, what Grok gave me, and ultimately what kind of progress I've made. So for my background, you already heard I was a college track athlete. Took about a year or so off because of a hip injury that I had to have hip surgery. I was out for a little while, gained a little bit of weight, and I'm like, I got to get back into running. So how am I going to do this? I put all of my information into Grok and said, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Can you generate a training plan for me and break it down week to week? Grok spat out the training plan like that. I stuck to it, and here's how it went. So after inputting my information to Grok, the first thing that I wanted to try to go after was a half marathon. And that's kind of what I'm training for right now, is hoping one day to race a half marathon. I've ran several before, but never really raced one. I have a goal in mind that I want to tell you about here in a little bit. But just to get started, I had to start at a base, had to start somewhere. So I asked Grok, hey, can you write me a half marathon training plan based on the information I've given you about me and where I'm at right now? Here was AI's response. That's awesome. You're already at a strong fitness level, and you can definitely build on that to crush your half marathon goal. Here's a general plan that balances mileage buildup with speed work and recovery. It goes on to give me really 3 or 4 breakdowns of how a training cycle is going to work. You've got a key phase of building, got a key phase of endurance and speed development, a key phase of race specific training, and then the key phase of tapering down for race day. So this AI kind of structured things based on a 24-week training window, and I tried the best I could to stick to it. Really, the major downside to this is you don't have accountability, whereas if you had a coach, you would have somebody encouraging you along. I think AI does a good job of giving me encouragement every once in a while, saying you crushed it or whatever. But the bottom line is AI was really helpful in giving me a lot of important information on the things that I had no idea about when it comes to running. So it gave me a model week. It gave me what things are going to look like for the upcoming weeks, really specific details on exactly what I need to be doing day in and day out to make sure that I am training like I need to. On top of that, it kept in mind that I do work 40 hours a week, a full-time job, sometimes even more than that. So it's almost impossible for me to go out and run 60, 70 miles a week like some of the professional athletes do and take hours to train. So this is really a model for anybody that is working a busy life, that's a normal person like me, that just wants to get in shape. And honestly, it works. And I want to tell you how it worked. One of the other key things that AI mentioned was nutrition and hydration. It made sure to help me stay on top of those things. Nutrition is something that I really haven't paid attention to my entire life until now. Things like counting calories, counting your macros, looking at what you're taking in before and after a run, and even the night before a run, what those things are going to look like, because they'll impact your performance, impact your mood, even your joints, all that stuff. I didn't realize how big of a deal this was, and AI really enlightened me on this, and it helped me develop a strategy that worked best for me. So to start out, I was really doing some really slow runs at like 10-minute pace for a mile or two, working my way up to 3-4 miles. And I had a nice aerobic base from college, but at the end of the day, I really was not fit to be running a half marathon by any means. So I was trying my best to get started back into a rhythm of running. AI really helped me structure even some of my speed workouts. One of the ones I have pulled up here was a workout I did in early February where I was doing 4x800. And I was just trying to get as fast as I could, get a base for where I was at, and develop a structure for how the speed workouts were gonna go in the weeks to come. After that, I started building on those speed workouts, doing the 400s, maybe doing some mile repeats, those kinds of things. And then I really started, once I hit about March, end of February, start of March, really started getting to a regular training plan. And I want to look at what that looks like with you guys and share with you how I've progressed, and just to look at where we're at now and what we're looking at in a regular week. Once I started implementing long runs into my plan, this is where things really started to get serious, and I started to see some legitimate progress because I was building an aerobic base. Again, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff, and kudos to artificial intelligence for helping me develop a plan and get me to where I need to be to even enjoy running and to have a structure with this. So for a week in March, I had a Monday long run of 10 miles, and as Grok said, no pace, just finish. Don't have to go all out. Don't have to run a 10-minute mile. Don't have to do a 9-minute mile. Just finish 10 miles. If you have to walk, just go ahead and walk. Tuesday was a speed work day. 6x800 at a 3:30 pace with a 400 jog between. This is a very basic speed workout, working on the threshold pace, trying to get some speed under my legs. Wednesday was a nice recovery day of 5 easy miles. Thursday was a tempo day. They kind of worked on that speed work tempo day on and off with easy runs. Friday was a calisthenics workout, so push-ups, pull-ups, that kind of thing. Saturday was a cross train or a rest day. And then Sunday, another rest day. If my math is correct, that comes out to be a little bit over 20 miles, not much over 20 miles. So we're working with an aerobic base to try to get my heart rate to where it needs to be, to try to get my zones and my thresholds and all that stuff to where I can run consistently 25 to 30 miles a week. Going into April, Grok really started helping me out with my heart rate. And as I mentioned just a second ago, the zones, zone 1 through 5, making sure that I'm running based off of my heart rate and not based off of how I feel or how much adrenaline I have going through me, anything like that. Just watch your heart rate, monitor how your heart rate's pumping, and that will tell you the kind of effort you're putting in. So to fast forward, we go to a week in the end of April going into May. In between, I'm running 25, almost 30 miles a week now. And then here's a week going into May, 12-mile long run. Tuesday's a 1-mile warm-up with 4x1K at a 4:10 pace. So these are really starting to progress here because AI has structured it based on what it knows about me and how it knows I can progress, giving me very specific times. And I didn't think I was gonna be in this kind of shape at all. I'm following this regularly and seeing how just building an aerobic base, building a threshold base of running these workouts regularly is getting some speed under my legs, helping my VO2 max go up, and while all watching my nutrition at the same time, helping me perform a lot better than I even imagined I could. Going into May, again, like I said, the long run, speed workouts, again, 5 miles easy here and there. Then you have a tempo workout, the tempo pace. That threshold is starting to work its way down into the low 7s, implementing some things like swimming instead of calisthenics to not do too much strength training to where I'm gaining a bunch of extra muscle to weigh me down, but I'm still strengthening my muscles so I can perform better out on the runs. We start getting into mid-May and we're looking at some really intense long runs like 14, 15 miles, where I'm fueling with gels every 45 minutes, have these really specific zone 2 easy runs, really specific zone 4 and 5 speed workouts and tempo runs, looking at exactly what my mile times are going to start looking like whenever I get to mile repeats. At this point, I'm starting to build up close to 35 to 40 miles a week because I'm able to even wake up earlier because I feel better, all these kinds of things. So I can go out and perform a lot better because I'm sticking to this plan. Going into June, where we're at right now, maintaining that aerobic base of 30 to 35 miles a week, running a 12 to 15 mile run every Monday, Tuesday speed workout, Wednesday's the easy run, Thursday's the tempo, Friday's the cross training day, Saturday's usually an easy run, and Sunday's a rest day. So getting into that habit, getting into those regimens of running that specific training plan every week is really starting to get into that speed and development phase to get me to run that half marathon in that 24 to 30 week period. So I had a half marathon planned to run in August out here, but with work stuff, I couldn't make it happen. So I'm going to try to plan one for October and to see what kind of shape I'm in. I'm going to try to go out and break a personal record if I can. My goal time is to run a 1 hour, 35 minute half marathon, which breaks it down to about a 7:15 per mile pace. With AI's training plan, I'm starting to feel like I can get to those numbers. I'm not quite there yet, but at the end of the day, this training plan is pretty amazing. And to see how I've progressed from January to now in June, I've noticed a big difference, and all thanks to artificial intelligence. So to keep a long story short and not break down the very specifics of these workouts, I just want to tell you that if you don't have access to a coach, you don't have access to any sort of training plan, or you don't even know where to get started, all you have to do is download one of these AI apps or just ask an artificial intelligence prompt chatbot, and it will give you a pretty solid breakdown of a training plan for whatever running goal you have. Now, granted, it doesn't take into account necessarily how you feel. Sometimes it will remember if I say, yeah, I had a little bit of a tweak in my ankle today, didn't feel that great on the tempo run, may need to ease it back tomorrow. It'll tell you when you need to change those things up if you put that in there, but generally speaking, it's not gonna ask you how you're feeling based on certain injuries you've had or if you're prone to certain things. So you gotta keep that in mind too, how it's probably not going to be super specific in those kind of arenas. But generally speaking, if you don't know where to get started, I would highly recommend using an artificial intelligence generator. Again, I am not promoting this or sponsoring this particular app by any means. All I'm saying is that as a skeptic of AI, I was very turned away from this idea to begin with. I didn't want to even try it because I was honestly not sure how this was going to turn out. I'm like, well, it's not even going to take into consideration anything about me. But the bottom line is this is very tailored to what I asked of it. And if you know how to ask the AI what you want and give it the prompts, then it'll generate a pretty cool training plan for you. My main motivation for making this video was today I went out and ran a 5K, and I ran a 19:27 5K, which is the fastest 5K I've ran since high school. And if it wasn't for the regular training that AI has been pushing out for me, then I wouldn't even be close to that right now. The accountability I have, I've got a running buddy, Johnny. I run with him pretty much every day. And if it wasn't for him, I absolutely wouldn't be able to do the stuff that I do. However, having a structured plan, having a regimen to get into, and having something that'll hold you accountable, even if it's just going into the notes on your AI app or even going into the notes on your phone and checking it off the box, then you're actually getting somewhere and you're making sure you're holding yourself accountable. So in the days ahead, I'm gonna try to keep you guys updated with this journey and how it goes as I use AI to continue to help me train for my half marathon. I'm not a professional by any means, so this is just a regular guy trying to get in shape. And so far, I have seen progression and it's exciting. If you don't know where to get started, check out some of my later videos I'm gonna try to make here soon, where I tell you how to generate the prompts that you need to give into AI to really get your training plan and your goals met. So you have no excuse. Don't waste any time. Go ahead and get started on your training plan today. Ask an artificial intelligence and it'll put out a great plan for you. In the days ahead as well, I'm gonna make a couple more of these videos to try to break down my weeks, what they're gonna look like on a Monday, the specific heart rate zones, how I'm fueling through the runs, what I'm fueling with, gear, all that stuff, because I want to make sure that as I'm going through this, just to let you know that any regular person like me can do this stuff, because if I can do it, then you certainly can as well. So stay tuned for some upcoming videos about this, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and maybe you go out and start your training plan with artificial intelligence today as well.